Good morning, everyone. The Lord be with you. A couple of weeks ago, I told you about John's Gospel and how it began. In the beginning was the Word. I wonder if anyone can remember who that Word was. It said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. It was Jesus. Now, can you remember what other book in the Bible began, or begins actually, in the beginning? It's the book of Genesis, and we're told, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And we're told that there was nothing on the earth, that it was without form, and there was just darkness and nothing else. And we're told that God took 6 days to create the world, and that the sun, the moon, and the stars came first, then the sea, and then the land. Then we got fish, birds, animals, and finally, people, Adam and Eve. Now, Genesis was written many, many thousands of years ago, before scientists even thought about the Big Bang Theory or whatever other ways the world might have been created. The story we read in Genesis is known as a myth, and a myth is defined as a story without an author that is passed along and is often intended to teach a lesson. The people who told the story of the creation of the world, and it was told for many years before it was even written down, didn't have any scientific knowledge. And so they looked around them, and this is what they decided had happened. And it's not bad, really, because they were right in that people came last of everything that was created. So for people with no scientific knowledge, they did really well. Now, as a Christian, I believe that God was still involved in creation, not in 6 days. And I believe that God is still involved very much in our world today. But unlike some, I believe that the world was created billions and billions of years ago, and that it was created out of something that was called the Big Bang. So, why am I telling you about creation and the Big Bang? Just remember this photograph, and when I come to talk later, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So, why am I telling you about it? Well, this photograph might give you a clue. Do you know what these people are doing? This is a friend of mine, and it's outside York Minster. Here's another clue. The colour purple. And finally, your final clue. Okay, Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday is the first day of, have you remembered? Yes, it's Lent. Now then, can anybody remember why the first day of Lent is called Ash Wednesday? Those in Key Stage 2 should remember, because since I've been coming into school and since you've been in school, on Ash Wednesday, you have been ashed. You have been, well, those that wanted to be, have been marked with the sign of a cross. So, what's that cross made of? Well, ashes. And these ashes come from last year's palm crosses. Remember last year you all got a palm cross at when the school closed. Now, what we do is the palm crosses are burned and then mixed with a little bit of oil, and they're marked on people's foreheads. And the vicar or the priest says the words, return to the gospel of God. So start thinking about God and Jesus. Turn away from sin. So stop thinking about all the wrongdoings that all the bad things that you sometimes do. And then he says the words, from dust you came, and to dust you will return. Strange words indeed. Now this is the next picture is a real strange one. In the beginning of Genesis, God created man out of the dust of the earth. And this was a picture from a movie, and this was God creating man out of the dust of the earth. Well, the mud, I suppose, but mud, dust. You put water with dust, it turns to mud. So, back to this picture. This is the picture. It's obviously a generated image, because nobody was there to take pictures billions of years ago of what scientists believe was the Big Bang. And as there was this explosion, lots of particles of dust flew through the air, and they came together and they formed balls, and those balls became planets, and that included our planet. So our planet is made out of stardust, and so are we. Every tiny atom in your body came from a star that exploded long before you were born. And so when Christians say, from dust you came, they're remembering that they're part of God's creation, and that they don't always care for it in the way that they should, and that eventually we will go back to the earth. During Lent, Christians take time to think about their lives. Many people spend more time reading the Bible, or maybe they set aside time each day to pray. Some people read special books that have been written just to be read during Lent. At the moment, I'm reading the writings of a saint called Julian of Norwich. It was a woman, even though she was called Julian. And every day I'm thinking about a different aspect of her writing. During Lent, some people give things up. Fast food, maybe no McDonald's. Sweets, a lot of people give up chocolate during Lent. A lot of people give up meat. But I don't do that, because really I think that if I give up chocolate, it would be because I want to lose weight. I suppose I could give up Facebook. That would give me more time to spend with God. But then again, I like seeing what my sister is getting up to in Holland, and my goddaughter in America, and I use Facebook and Instagram and Twitter for those things. Instead of giving up things, some people try and do something new. So they use Lent as a time when they try to help others. So this is love life, live Lent, transform your world. And the idea of love life, live Lent has been going on now for at least 10 years. Some people have a wall planner and they make a plan just before Lent starts. So on week 1, on the Monday, maybe they would write a letter to a friend. On the Tuesday, they would give up meat for that day. And they think of different things to do all the way through Lent until you come to Holy Week and Good Friday, which is when Jesus died. What sort of things can you give up or you could do? So here are some ideas. You could make someone laugh. If you're in a queue, give your place to someone who's in a rush. Write an email or a letter or send a card to someone to just thank them for being them. Oh, it would be nice to go to a party at the moment. Can't do that, can we? Spend some time in silence. That's an interesting thing to do. Just sit quietly for a while, doing nothing. Thinking about how you could help someone. Thinking about those who care for you. Thinking about those you care for. Have a meat-free day. That would be an interesting thing to do. It's not so much fun for those. I suppose that wouldn't be any good for those of you that were vegetarian. And I wouldn't suggest that maybe you had a day when you ate meat. So if you're vegetarian or vegan, then that's not such a good idea, I suppose. The bottom one says, light a candle and pray for someone. Now that's something we could all do, isn't it? And if it's too difficult to light a candle, just again, sit quietly. Lent is an important time in the church year, but it doesn't have to be miserable or boring. At one time, everybody thought, oh, Lent, I've got to give something up and it's not very good and oh, I hate it and it's going to be 40 days are going to really drag by. But that doesn't have to be the case. It can be fun. If you think of things that you could do, maybe you could plant some seeds so that you get tomatoes or peppers in the summer. Perhaps you could plant a sunflower seed and see how tall it would grow. Perhaps you could help somebody in their garden. A way of looking after the world. Help with the recycling. Are you good at recycling? I'm not as good as I could be. I could be a lot better. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping to do during this Lent, is to become better at recycling. I'm also a bit of a hoarder. So because I'm moving, I'm having to clear out the vicarage. And so I'm throwing a lot of stuff away. But I'm hoping to help some of the stuff be reused and give it to people who might need it. But it doesn't have to be boring, and it could be fun. So let's remember that we're all stardust. which is a great thing to think we are. And then I'd like to say this prayer. If you'd like to, you can join me, or you can say Amen at the end. Dear God, we are sorry for when we mess up, but we are thankful that you are in the mess with us and that we are part of your creation. Help us to remember that we are stardust and that even when we do make mistakes, you still love us. Help us keep a good Lent by helping others and remembering you. Amen. Have a lovely week. Go in peace. God bless.